All right. We're about to do some quick charting real quick of doing, let's just look for some horizontal supports and horizontal resistance areas and levels. So right now I'm in Thinkorswim on the S&P 100 public list. Right? If you go ahead and if this thing's going to work, is it going to work? Oh, thank you. All right. So if you go here to public S&P 100, so stocks, some going to be some stocks that don't follow that are in here. And so what we're going to do is pretty much use some price level tool to do some horizontal lines on these charts and see where we can identify areas that were at support and then some areas that were resistance and then a breakout. So the first one we have here is Alphabet, Google, right? And obviously we can see it's in an overall uptrend, but quickly, just from looking at the chart, no EMAs on here, no Bollinger Bands, just straight up price action. I see areas of support there, and we can see that it had an area of resistance back here, and then had a gap up above it, and then it started using that old resistance as new support. It looked like this zone was the resistance at this point when it got here, and then we had a breakup where it broke above that high and kind of used that zone area as a resistance before it broke up. And now it looks like Google has some support at this line. And of course, the most recent high is your resistance, but we can just look at this whole area of 3 days right here, 1, 2, 3, pretty much of an area of resistance, not even considering the wick that's there. So there you have, there's some quick lines on that. Here's one that you can either consider this zone area that was a support too. So kind of look and see how these things come into play. Support, 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 breaks up, support, and then breaks up higher. Now we have a resistance, and this area looks to be some support. Either it's going to continue to bounce between this range here, or it's going to continue to move up higher and go from there. So let's go to the next one here. What's this? BlackRock. BlackRock, as you can see, I already have a line on here of a horizontal line where it was a resistance, broke up, and now it became support here. Here's your current resistance, or here's your high of resistance, but we also have this zone here that is some resistance. As we created this high, came back, pulled up, made a lower high, couldn't go back up there. So we have a ceiling here, and it comes back and hits this support area again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this area, but then it's coming up here and can't break above that 737 range. So that's another horizontal line. Let's go to Tesla. Tesla has more of the uptrend, and you can kind of connect these lows here on a long-term aspect with that. Maybe it'll come down again here, and then of course end up bouncing up. And there's no head and shoulders on this one though. But if you want to go to horizontal lines on here, but here we had this area that was of like a resistance zone that it needed to break up. And again, I know this is chopping through this line here, but it's a resistance zone, not a perfect kind of line, right? But this is an ascending wedge, so it was building up pressure, building up pressure, building up pressure, and it popped out. It's good for a lot of people. Let's see, Charter Communications, Inc. Let's see, here we are up, and then it looks like it's doing some sideways movement, but an area of support looks to be like this range here. Looking where it comes into play here, a zone for here. Kind of goes through these lines, yeah, but again, it's a zone. And then we have this area here too. So if you wanted to draw a double line there, and you're saying this is your support zone, draw 2 lines if you want to. And you see that that's about a what's that? The $13 range of zone of support range. And you saw that it was a resistance here in this area, 1, 2, a few times. Then it broke out, came up, came down to that top line part kind of, then came down into that whole range there popped up, and then it came back to that area again, to that area again. Hopefully we're back now looking to move up. So there's some horizontal lines on that. Resistance. About that, we have a couple of connections here. Come on, stay on there. Okay. 1, 2, went through this a little bit. 3, 4 areas of resistance there. So even if you got into this trade right now, I think it's a little too late because it's in the middle of this this width, this band here. You'd want to get in somewhere down here so you have a bigger move to 666, which doesn't seem to be like a good number, right? 666. But it would be kind of late to get into here because you can pull all the way back here. You'd feel like you lose a lot, so you'd stop out. But really, that's an area of support if you didn't draw some lines. So let's go to another one. NVIDIA. As you got have some lines in here from back here, but this was a definite area of support for a while. Look at this zone here. Boom, there. Right, boom, boom. Came down close to it, hit it, close, went up. Now it broke through it, it came up. Hopefully it can test this area again as a support and then bounce up. And our resistance is the recent high. I think once we bounce up, that's our next target, is to get back to all-time highs. So let's see here, Netflix. Obviously you'll see back here, this was an area of support. Right? Old resistance, broke above it finally. Was it high volume that day? Higher than average volume that day, which is good. And going up, come down, bounce, bounce, up, bounce, up, bounce. I mean, that thing was acting real nice and solid. And really, this zone here is your resistance. Bam, comes close, hits it, breaks through it some, comes back down, but that's an earnings pop up. So that's to be thought, consider that. But then came down, hit it again, and now we're on a little bit of downtrend. So you can definitely, hopefully, see some support down in this area if it continues to fall, and then it can get back up to the 566 would be the resistance. Let's go to another one. All right, let's see here. We got some support area right there. This is even one of those even better ones. Look at this. On this uptrend, Thermo Fisher Scientific, shout out to them, Bay Area, hits the resistance, comes back, hit the resistance, comes back, breaks out, does a little pullback as using it as support, and then breaks up. Right, that's a nice move from 436. Look at that. That's a move from. That's a move from 436 to 532. $100 move right there in a matter of, what's the matter of days? This is 25 bars. So a month, it bounced, it hit up 20%. Nice. And then it comes down, tests that line again as support, pulls up, not as high, but then it rips up some more at the beginning of the year. And then now we're back at that area of support. And it looks to be pretty strong because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days right there. So there's building up of consolidation. And looking at volume, there's some consolidation there. Looks like there's some folks that are accumulating and holding the line, right? And we should be making some new highs. And here's your resistance. Oop, why am I on that line? I meant to do sorry about that. Move that line. Let's do a horizontal. It should be your target, right? To play back up to that way if you want to get into Thermo Fisher. Where would you find some areas that you need to get past? Probably like right here. Just getting past that previous high, and then it's like up to this one and this one is after that, after it breaks that previous high there. Let's go to Adobe. As you can see, I already got some lines in there. Don't even know when did I draw this. When did I draw this? I drew them recently, obviously. All right. Let's see here. UNH, United Health Group. Looks like we have area of support that was some old resistance zone. This is coming into play as resistance, resistance. This zone area here, resistance, where it couldn't bounce up. Then it finally did on this gap. Like I'll draw the line there. Look at it gapped up from there. So it must have been some good stuff coming out that there. Comes back to that zone to support. Up, comes down to support again, and then goes up, and then comes down. Had some days of consolidation at the support line of 322, and now we're back up at the highs, which seem to be resistance. 1, 2, 3. So in anticipation, we have some high volume here, but I don't know what the news aspect is for United Health. Based off this pattern, we can expect to see this thing pull down, or it's going to break up, probably come down, retest, and then make new highs up off the 367. All right, let's look at Mastercard. Mastercard. Ooh, that's a little choppy. That doesn't look too good. But as I throw on my cursor here, we have this area here. That was an area that looked like to be some resistance, resistance, resistance zone, resistance, resistance, popped up, went up, created a new high, pulled back, came back to that zone as support. Then we had some breakdown in October, November timeframe. That would have had you concerned, but look at this area of support too that it previously had. So look at uptrend, resistance, 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 broke up above it. Resistance, floor, support, resistance, floor, resistance, floor. So ceiling, floor, resistance, support, whichever one you want to call it. Resistance, resistance, breaks up, comes down, test support right there, pulls up, comes down here, breaks that floor, goes down to the first floor, but then finds its support there based off the history, pretty much on the technical side, then comes back up to the ceiling and then says, you know what, we're breaking out, came back up to the new resistance area that it had there for a little bit. And then it's just been going through that area, bounce at support, and now we're up here creating a new high. So let's see what's going to happen here with this move. But another thing I see is some uptrend there on Mastercard as well. We could duplicate this drawing. Not bad, but we need to see, definitely I know we need to see a higher high because we had a high, we broke the high there. We had the low, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Let's hold it, have this thing stop and hold here and create a new high. All right, LMT, Lockheed Martin. Obviously, just from the picture, you guys, I'm sure you can see that we're in some type of downtrend here. But some key obvious horizontal lines is there. We have these lines right here. As you can see, that couldn't get past above that. So it bounced and went in this area, then it broke it, came back up, and that old support, it was now like a new resistance zone that is pulling back down. So as this thing is starting to move up, where is our resistance at? I would say the new resistance is here. We had an area that was a support zone. If I do this line here, look what comes into play. It kind of bounced that area, broke below it, came here, and now it came into play as a resistance here, but it looks like we have broken above it. So now next is really 375, hopefully, for Lockheed Martin. And again, we're just doing horizontal lines. So it looks like I already have some horizontal lines in this one. Let's go to Costco. Definitely uptrend here. Looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders. Here's your shoulder, head, shoulder. Then it broke down. But let's see, what do we got here? Okay, we had this area as a resistance, this zone. Came down. Then finally it popped up above it, came back, used it as support, popped up again, had a big red day, but used it as support again, created that new high, came down, and it looked to have been some consolidation of, hitting this as support, and it looks like it was holding until it finally broke down around that treasury bond yield top, right? So now this is your new resistance zone. Do we have why did it stop right here? Looks like we have some support right here based from this area here, which was the old resistance back here. Look at that. Awesome stuff. Resistance, not quite, but came up, gapped up above it, and then it acted like a floor support, bounced up, and we already talked about this, but now it pulls all the way down, hits this line, which was old resistance that became new support, and now it's some support for this area here as well. So what are we going to do from here? Probably get a pullback to there and then bounce up, or we can just start a new uptrend. So hopefully it creates a higher low, which it could, because this line here, or this candlestick here, is connecting with some support that's right there. And look at that there. Just in that channel. Pops up, bam. So when you throw these lines on here, and these are just horizontal lines. We're not even drawing trend lines for higher highs and higher lows for uptrends or downtrends. I'm not even drawing that. But even putting these horizontal lines, you can get a good picture of what could be some areas of resistance and some areas of support. So hopefully this is a new support for Costco. And let's do one more. This is Facebook, and I can easily see here this zone right here. And again, I'm saying a zone because look, if you want to, you can draw two lines, and this area right here is your zone. Or look, even if you don't like the lines, let me remove this. Let's draw a rectangle from this area. Now you have a gray area. That's your gray box of support, of your horizontal support. And that's looking at it from, you can't do this in a trend for uptrends, but look at this. Let's put it into even bigger perspective, right? Coming up here, this was your resistance zone area, this gray box. And then finally it gapped up and then came, used it as support, and then it made its way up. Came to that zone again, used it as support, and came up. And it's just been doing some, some weird stuff, honestly. That doesn't even look like a very clear pattern per se. But when it came back down to that zone, it used it as support again. And look, it's using it as support again, and now we're making its way up. So where's your resistance? Your resistance is here. The resistance is that zone there. Let's see if we can make it up there. So, decide how you want to do it. Do you want to draw lines? Because you can draw some double lines like this that I'm doing here. Or you can do these boxes too. So you can really absorb the fact that it's not just a perfect line, but it is a zone. So wanted to make a quick video just doing some horizontal lines of what I'm seeing as some areas of support and resistance from a horizontal line aspect, and then share this with you guys. So until next time, Robert Williams Report here on Instagram. Follow me, The Emotional Trader. And until next time, I want you to think, live, and be unstoppable. See you guys again. Peace.